I'm James. We're in the Net News Ledger studio with Shelby Ch'ng, who's running in the Northwood Ward in the Thunder Bay election that's coming up on October 27th. Shelby, what are the issues you're hearing? We're getting into the home stretch of the campaign.
I'm hearing a number of issues at the door, and I've heard it since I started my campaign. There are four key themes that are coming out of Northwood. One is taxes, crime is the second one, infrastructure, and community engagement. Those are things that people have told me that it's important to them that these issues be addressed.
What are you hearing in terms of taxes in Northwood?
A number of people are very concerned with the amount of tax dollars they spend, and they're not seeing a lot of value for it. A number, like myself, for example, I purchased my property almost a decade ago. I paid $900 in taxes, and now it's $1,600, and that's for a duplex. And a number of people have similar stories about how much their taxes have actually climbed. We're talking about people who are on a fixed income, who don't have any opportunity to go out and offset those costs. So now, what do? We still have to pay taxes. Death and taxes are the only things for certain in life. Who said that? I don't remember.
Good question.
So how do we balance this? And I believe that right now we're at an opportunity where we can readjust. A core service review is needed, and it's not just the core service review itself doesn't cut anything. It just sheds light on what possibly could be cut. And it's not even the cuts. It's how do we find efficiency? How do we do things better? What's Sudbury doing with their library system? How is Winnipeg dealing with their EMS service? It's looking at what other places are doing and seeing what we could essentially borrow from them in terms of ideas. My philosophies and my ideas is that we can maintain service and stagnate the tax level. We need to engage in our citizens to come up with ideas and a new approach on how to solve the tax issues. Programs such as the Shelter House SOS. Spend a little bit now, we save in resources on our police, EMS services, saving on hospital beds, which I hear at the door. I know it's not a municipal issue. People are upset that their mothers and their grandmothers cannot get a bed at the hospital. And how do we manage that at the very base level? How do we essentially stop people from calling 911? I know when I say that, it sounds, we shouldn't stop people from calling 911, but are there alternative solutions that we can do to mitigate those phone calls to 911? A third of our calls to 911 involve intoxication. How do we manage that and help offset the costs? Some of the other ideas I have, open source politics. We need a forum to say, hey, this is how much money we have. This is what we want. Does anybody have any ideas on how we can match these up and get everything we need? One idea I have, for example, is doing crowdfunding for a library. I would love to have a list as a business owner of the library's wish list for books. And as a business owner, I could go and say, okay, I'll purchase, The Wealthy Barber because of its business. I'll purchase some fashion books because it relates to my business, but also purchase some kids' books for my nephew and 50 Shades of Grey for my mom.
Okay.
And then I could go on and say, where the list is posted, say, I want to purchase these books. Here's the dollar value for it. Purchase these books for the library. And then I might even pay a little bit extra to have a sticker in the book, a dedication to my nephew because he loves Scaredy Squirrel so much. And that will help offset the cost of the library. Now we could also apply that type of crowdfunding to other places. The Shelter House, for example. I can go on and say, I want to purchase five pounds of ground beef for the Shelter House. And then they receive the money via PayPal or electronic means. It's small, it's measurable, and they are the services that people can use. And then they could save that money to fund other things that they're doing.
Now, the last couple of days, of course, the issue of crime in Thunder Bay has been on everyone's minds. Dennis Franklin Camardi School is in Northwood, so it's probably had an impact on, of course, the students and the staff, but what are you hearing?
What I'm hearing at the door is that people don't feel safe. And they see students across the street, and it's hard to tell who students are to who the crime perpetrators, and everybody kind of blends in. we needed something that will pull out the students that say, you know what, you are good, you're in a safe place, let's work together and solve some issues. One of the ideas I have is trying to get some of the students from DFC onto the Zone Watch program. Mm-hmm. One of the barriers to that, though, is that they don't accept anybody with a criminal record, which I found with Limerick, because I was approached. I approached somebody in Limerick, and we were talking about how to get the community out together. We need to figure out how to get people out, and I believe students are the way to do it, because they come from other reserves and places that are, this is a foreign area to them. So we need to be able to connect with them in a way, and I think Zone Watch is a good program, and they'll learn about the program and possibly even bring it back to their community.
Mm-hmm. We were talking a little earlier about community engagement. Mm-hmm. How do we engage Thunder Bay more? We seem to be, as we head into the last bit, the city is working hard on getting people out to vote. That's a key issue, but what other ways do you feel we can engage the community better?
Right. The vote for me is more of the, I think I'm going back to my university days, the pebble in the pond. It is one stone cast into a pond. We need to realize that just because you vote doesn't mean that your civic engagement ends there. We need to have ward meetings that happen on a regular basis. Did you know that only over the last 8 years, only 12 ward meetings happened? That's not quarterly.
Wow.
It averages less than 2 meetings a year.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the same 20 people showing up. One ward meeting, I think there were only 4 people who showed up. And it really took an act of God, aka the flood of 2012, to get more than 100 people at a ward meeting. To me, this is unacceptable. How do we engage these people? We engage them through social media. If I'm successful in city council, I have a certain amount of funds available for professional development and computer and a cell phone and whatnot. I plan to use that money, if I'm allowed to. I don't know, I'm sure the city will have rules on how to use that money. Having a van go around and pick up the seniors who want to attend, who can't attend the meeting. And also on the flip side, having a student, maybe like a co-op student from DFC or from Churchill, to live tweet the event, maybe do some video, maybe. And these are things that are relatively cheap and inexpensive to get people connected. And utilizing social media, utilizing just the handshake and the door-to-door. Why is it politicians only come around door-to-door when it's an election year? I mean, granted, you have to do that, but why not in between elections? Saying, hey, is everything okay? I'm just checking up on you. Do you want to attend a ward meeting? Here's a list of all the meetings happening.
So we've got a lot going on with the campaign. We're getting into the home stretch. How do you feel? You know,
it's actually a really good feeling. I have a lot more appreciation. Anybody who puts their name on any ballot, it's not the easiest thing to do, and there are moments where I'm like, what have I done? But you know what? I love Thunder Bay, and that love for Thunder Bay beats the fear of the public any day.
You bet. Okay, and Shelby, how do people find you online?
Facebook, Shelby Ch'ng for Northwood. You could also reach me by email, shelby4tbay@gmail.com, and on my website, www.shelbychung.com.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.